Meanwhile, the scrutiny of presidential election ballot boxes from about 41 polling stations kicked off today at the Supreme Court sub-registry at the Forodha House in Milimani. This is under the supervision of IBC and Supreme Court registrar as well as party agents. Well, Leila Mohammed has been there the entire day keeping tabs with the process and is now joining us live. Leila, a very good evening to you. Good to see you. Just how soon do you think this process will be finalized? And remember, this is in light of that direction given by Justice Isaac Lenaola that the process should be completed by tomorrow afternoon.
Well, Zainab, time is of the essence, and what is happening now is that the registrar in charge of this process has been forced to act in a manner in which to save this time and enable them to finish the 41 boxes that are representative of the 41 polling stations that need to be counted this evening all through the night into the morning. However, according to what she says, with the new additions of tables and the splitting of the groups into 3 separate tables, they are hoping that the numbers will go faster than what we saw earlier. Between 11:55 a.m. and 17:55 p.m. this evening, they had only done 9 boxes, and they were saying it's quite a slow and tedious process. Speaking to some of the legislators who are in charge of this, of the agents from both sides, they were saying that it's quite a slow pacing, and they were fearful that this may not be in a position to happen earlier. The same Justice Isaac Lenaola insisting that it will only be the 41 polling stations that will be allowed to be recounted and verified, because some of the additional requirements by the petitioner would force this process to take longer than the 48 hours that had been awarded by the court. Remember, this same court is the one that gave the directions yesterday evening, which was Tuesday, and they were ordering that between Tuesday 2 p.m. and Thursday 2 p.m., 48 hours in between the two decisions, and when the report will be relayed inside the court here tomorrow. But some of the IBC officials that we spoke to earlier were saying that because the order came quite late in the afternoon, many of the returning officers had to go back to the places where some of these boxes had been placed, take them and accompany them through the night, having arrived here in the morning hours, and this process could not begin until mid-morning at around 11:55 a.m., almost into the afternoon. And the slow and painstaking process was some of the issues that both the parties that we spoke to earlier were very fearful of, that they may not be in a position to really deal with this as according to what the court has required. Zainab, it's been 9 petitions down to 9 critical matters, and this is part of those 9 issues. Are the question of number 7, and which the petitioners had requested for some of the polling stations that they were feeling were quite questionable to be repeated, and that's what has been happening here at the Forodha Center all day afternoon. This afternoon, some of the main chief agents that we spoke to, one party was very happy with the process, only complaining about how long it was taking. However, they were very critical in insisting that there were no discrepancies on the other side. They were saying as much as the pace was slow, and they were hoping that the registrar would make a few changes, which she has done. They were saying that they have noticed 1 or 2 few things, and one of them that happened earlier was that one of the boxes from Majengo area in Mombasa County was blank, but the returning officer had to ask questions, and they got the relevant answers from the returning officer from that particular polling station. And Zainab, much of what will be found here, if there will be any issues that will be raised, will be delivered in that report in the court precincts later in Thursday afternoon. Earlier, we saw some of the most senior counsel presenting their case before the courts, and as well as very young lawyers who are doing this for the first time. But also there was an interesting party, Okia Omutata Okoeti, who's not a stranger to the precincts of of the Milimani law courts, having litigated so many issues and won some of them and lost some of them. But this was interesting because in a group of learned friends, he was the only unlearned chap presenting his case before the court, and he took the country through a mathematical escapade in terms of that critical number, 140,028 votes, which he insists are unaccounted for. And he says that in the national tally of how many particularly took place on that day, he was able to articulate himself among a team of litigators and legal minds who are part and parcel of this Supreme Court event that goes on until Friday, Zainab.